ever find a piece of gear that was so overbuilt, so unapologetically excessive, that it just makes modern tech look like a toy? This is the Motorola Saber, a radio built straight from the Cold War. So the Motorola Saber radio series was launched in the 1980s, and it remains a hallmark of tactical grade communication equipment. This stuff was literally designed primarily for military, government, and public safety applications, and these radios are renowned not just for the robust construction and technical sophistication, but really for a level of performance and durability that far exceeds typical field requirements. And in the age of featherweight convenience, the Saber pretty much said, no thanks. This beast was engineered with failure is not an option. Tactical grade everything. Not only that, this thing is even capable of operating in extreme conditions from deserts to frozen zones without thermal degradation, and holds an IP54 rating, which gives it superior shock resistance, water resistance, and long-term field survivability. And let's be honest, the thing just has an incredible history of having a minimal failure rate. In real-world deployments, Sabers often lasted decades with only minor maintenance, a trait really uncommon in modern commercial-grade units. And speaking of that minimal failure rate, these things were basically designed to be repaired in the field. They have modular internals, socketed boards, and serviceable front-end components, which has just encouraged its longevity of their survival. And on top of all that, they also had interchangeable modules like batteries, antennas, control heads, even RF decks were swappable across models, not to mention just their legacy support. Even decades later, you're able to find parts and accessories on military surplus sites, eBay, heck, even Amazon still has parts for these things, which is really just a testament to its long life cycle. Okay, so let's talk new school versus old school, and spoiler alert, the old one can still throw some punches.
Okay, so let's just give this a visual. I will ask forgiveness now, and please excuse my handwriting. I think what we're going to do here is we'll just make a chart, and we'll call this the legacy versus modern HT. And the first thing we'll do is divide this up. I'd be looking at the feature set, and then we'll compare it to the Saber, and then we'll compare that to your modern HT. So first thing we want to know is, what is the RF output going to be? We know on the Saber, because they are tested and tested, you are always going to get 5 watts out of those. When it comes to your modern HTs, again, we're talking the off-brand stuff. You're going to get maybe 2 to 5 watts. That's kind of the average. The problem is you're literally rolling the dice. Maybe you're getting 2, maybe you're getting 5 if all the stars align. Who knows? Now, looking at the chassis of these things, your Sabers, these things are built like a titanium brick. They're actually die-cast aluminum, but they are about as solid can be. And going back over to these typical modern handhelds, you're looking at some sort of plastic polymer blend, and it's probably some really an inferior plastic polymer. You're definitely not getting what they're making Glocks out of on your Baofeng HT. Now, as far as programming access goes, this is where the Sabers struggle a little bit in today's current climate. Number one, it requires proprietary software, just like every other Motorola radio out there. The big problem is, the Saber doesn't do apps. This was built way before apps were even a thing. This thing's doing DOS. So it is a vintage operating system software that is definitely going to be a little tricky to utilize and probably even harder to track down. Your modern HTs, these are as easy as downloading software off of whatever distributors or suppliers website you can go to. So it's really just a digital native.
And speaking of the programming, a huge thing that I fault a lot of these cheap Chinese radios for is their lack of zone availability. For as old as the Sabers are, these things still have zones formats to them, which makes frequency organization so much more efficient and to help you plan out your zones. Something I would do as the example would be something like Zone 1, local simplex coordination, maybe your neighborhood groups, your neighborhood watch, or your preparedness groups. Then you could do something like Zone 2 as far as regional interoperability. So those could be whatever frequencies your Aries are on, your RACES are on, or your CERT teams are on. And then Zone 3 could be something as simple as, like digital or packet gateways via crossband links.
Now, when we talk about the weight, the Sabers come in at a hefty 1.5 pounds with their battery. And the average Baofeng HT, Ocean HT, whatever you want to do, they're usually coming in right around about 0.8 pounds. And this next one, the longevity, you're looking at Saber at a 15 plus year lifespan, and many case in point, are going well beyond that because they're still in service today. And on these other HTs, I don't know, what's everybody getting out of them? 3 to 5 years with typical use?
So guys, in my opinion, the Motorola Saber series of radios should be a case study in equipment that is purposefully and unapologetically overpowered. They represent a design mindset unbound by cost-cutting or planned obsolescence. They were literally built to survive situations that rarely occur. In disaster communications, rugged field ops, or even post-grid contingencies, their power lies not in just the wattage they can put out, because we know they're overpowered, or even their frequency agility, but in the trust that they've earned through decades of unflinching service. So drop all your awesome Saber use cases in the comments, or any ideas that you even have for how you would incorporate them, or if you've done anything with them to try to make them more modernized. And with that, as always, we'll see you on the next one. Be safe.